Today's episode of the More You Know podcast is brought to you by CrowdQuestion, a brand new social communication platform focused on connecting crowds to bring everyone closer to their community, as well as enhancing any occasion. Rather than being a social media platform focused on content and advertising, they're focused on communication and connection. Learn more about the platform and download the app free at crowdquestion.com.
I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
Today's
More
You
No
podcast.
Today I want to do something slightly different and read a conversation between the Dalai Lama and Howard Cutler regarding happiness. It's shared in their book The Art of Happiness, which is a handbook for living. And this conversation is the Dalai Lama answering Howard's questions, sharing his thoughts on happiness and how to live a life of happiness. And I'm now going to be reading the Dalai Lama's quotes from this conversation. He starts by saying, "So the first step in seeking happiness is learning. We first have to learn how negative emotions and behaviors are harmful to us, and how positive emotions are helpful. And we must realize how these negative emotions are not only very bad and harmful to one personally, but harmful to society and the future of the whole world as well. That kind of realization enhances our determination to face and overcome them. And then, there's the realization of the beneficial aspects of the positive emotions and behaviors. Once we realize that, we become determined to cherish, develop, and increase those positive emotions, no matter how difficult that is. There's a kind of spontaneous willingness from within. So through this process of learning, of analyzing which thoughts and emotions are beneficial and which are harmful, we gradually develop a firm determination to change. Feeling, now the secret to my own happiness, my own good future, is within my own hands. I must not miss that opportunity." In Buddhism, the principle of causality is accepted as natural law. In dealing with reality, you have to take that law into account. So, for instance, in the case of everyday experiences, if there are certain types of events that you do not desire, then the best method of ensuring that the event does not take place is to make sure that the causal conditions that normally give rise to that event no longer arise. Similarly, if you want a particular event or experience to occur, then the logical thing to do is to seek and accumulate the causes and conditions that give rise to it. This is also the case with mental states and experiences. If you desire happiness, you should seek the causes that give rise to it. And if you don't desire suffering, then what you should do is to ensure that the causes and conditions that would give rise to it no longer arise. An appreciation of this causal principle is very important. Now we have spoken of the supreme importance of the mental factor in achieving happiness. Our next task, therefore, is to examine the variety of mental states that we experience. We need to clearly identify different mental states and make a distinction, classifying them according to whether they lead to happiness or not. Howard then asked the Dalai Lama to provide some specific examples, and the Dalai Lama explained, "Now, for instance, hatred, jealousy, anger, and so on are harmful. We consider them negative states of mind because they destroy our mental happiness. Once you yourself are filled by hatred or negative emotions, then other people appear to you as also hostile. So as a result, there is more fear, greater inhibition and hesitation, and a sense of insecurity. These things develop, and also loneliness in the midst of a world perceived as hostile. All these negative feelings develop because of hatred. On the other hand, mental states such as kindness and compassion are definitely very positive. They are very useful. I regard a compassionate, warm, kind-hearted person as healthy. If you maintain a feeling of compassion, loving kindness, then something automatically opens your inner door. Through that, you can communicate much more easily with other people, and that feeling of warmth creates a kind of openness. You'll find that all human beings are just like you, so you'll be able to relate to them more easily. That gives you a spirit of friendship. Then there's less need to hide things, and as a result, feelings of fear, self-doubt, and insecurity are automatically dispelled. Also, it creates a feeling of trust from other people. So anyway, I think that cultivating positive mental states like kindness and compassion definitely leads to better psychological health and happiness." Howard then asked, "If happiness is simply a matter of cultivating more positive mental states like kindness and so on, why are so many people unhappy?" Then the Dalai Lama said, "Achieving genuine happiness may require bringing about a transformation in your outlook, your way of thinking, and this is not a simple matter. It requires the application of so many different factors, from different directions. You shouldn't have the notion, for instance, that there's just one key, a secret, and if you can get that right, then everything will be okay. It's similar to taking proper care of the physical body. You need a variety of vitamins and nutrients, not just one or two. In the same way, in order to achieve happiness, you need a variety of approaches and methods to deal with and overcome the varied and complex negative mental states. And if you are seeking to overcome certain negative ways of thinking, it is not possible to accomplish that simply by adopting a particular thought or practicing a technique once or twice. Change takes time. There are a lot of negative mental traits, so you need to address and counteract each one of these. That isn't easy. It requires the repeated application of various techniques, and taking the time to familiarize yourself with the practices. It's a process of learning. But I think that as time goes on, you can make positive changes. Every day as soon as you get up, you can develop a sincere positive motivation, thinking, I will utilize this day in a more positive way. I should not waste this very day. And then at night before bed, check what you've done, asking yourself, did I utilize this day as I planned? If it went accordingly, then you should rejoice. If it went wrong, then regret what you did and critique the day. So through methods such as this, you can gradually strengthen the positive aspects of the mind. First, learn about the positive value of the practices, then build up determination, and then try to implement them. At the beginning, the implementation of the positive practices is very small, so the negative influences are still very powerful. However, eventually, as you gradually build up the positive practices, the negative behaviors are automatically diminished. No matter what activity or practice we are pursuing, there isn't anything that isn't made easier through constant familiarity and training. Through training, we can change. We can transform ourselves. Through repeated practice of these methods, we can get to the point where some disturbance may occur, but the negative effects on our mind remain on the surface, like the waves that may ripple on the surface of an ocean, but don't have much effect deep down. And although my own experience may be very little, I have found this to be true in my own small practice. So if I receive some tragic news, at that moment I may experience some disturbance within my mind, but it goes very quickly. Or I may become irritated and develop some anger, but again, it dissipates very quickly. There is no effect on the deeper mind, no hatred. This was achieved through gradual practice. It didn't happen overnight. This conversation between Howard and the Dalai Lama provides real insights in what to be aware of and what to work towards to increase happiness in your life. By really taking this to heart and applying it in your life, it will no doubt assist with increasing happiness in your life. And it's also something you can share with others to increase happiness in their lives. By doing so, it will assist you in finding joy and enjoyment in life, as well as make a tremendous impact in life, and craft a life of significance through your happiness.
I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
A more
You
no
podcast.